All right, so again, thanks for taking the time. This is JumpCloud's partner program kind of update, Q1 update for 2019. So let's go ahead and dive in and get started. All right, so what we're going to cover today is a quick program update. So we've made some pretty significant strides over the past year and change. I know a lot of you have been with us for a year plus, and others are maybe newer to the program. So we'll talk about some of the updates that we've gone through recently. We've got a couple success stories from some of our partners that we'll talk about, and some of I'll kind of mention some of the things that we offer now as well. So maybe ways where if you've been with us for a while, we could kind of highlight you guys and do some spotlights with you all. And then I'll hand it over to Dan Fay, and he'll kind of walk through some of the updates that we've got to our multi-tenant portal, and then we'll do a demo of the new product updates. Hopefully all of you have gotten moved over this, and these things should be relatively familiar to you. But if not, and this is the first time you're seeing it, it'll be good. It'll be good new functionality. And then we'll, like I said before, take some time from questions and answers. So we've got an hour scheduled. We'll see if we actually need the whole time. It'll really kind of be dependent on how many questions you guys all have. But that's what we're covering. So let's go ahead and dive in. Probably should have done this before I started jawing away, but hopefully most of you recognize my voice or have talked with me over in the past. I'm Ben Orn. I run our partner program here. I'm our channel development manager. And then Dan Fay is our tech lead on the partner team. So he's our solutions engineer, but runs kind of all things on the technology side. So some of the big updates here, there's no kind of fancy charts or graphs or anything, but just some really kind of core things that we've done over the past year. So Dan has been really leading the charge on some updates and enhancements to our implementation and technical training program. So as we've mentioned along the way, as you guys have joined in and become partners, we're really focused on getting you up to speed as kind of a technical extension of our team. So we've got some enhancements to the implementation programs. So there's some resources and tools that if you haven't been exposed to them yet and you have an upcoming customer or implementation you want to work through, definitely reach back out to us or your partner account manager, and we'll walk you through and kind of make sure that you're exposed to the latest and greatest of kind of the onboarding program that we've got. And then beyond that, we have some enhancements that we've been making to the technical training program. So if you've already gone through a bunch of implementations and you have that down pat, but you want to get into more of the advanced training, reach out to us on that as well. To date, these have really been kind of done on a partner by partner basis. We're looking at making this more of kind of a programmatic, might be doing some more webinars like this where we can kind of train a lot of people on a broader topic. But if you've got specific areas of focus, just reach out to us. We've got a much more dedicated focus and a lot more resources to support you from a technical and implementation perspective. Similarly, we've been doing a lot of work on the go-to-market side of things as well. So the two areas of focus from our go-to-market resources really center around kind of first and foremost helping you drive more business. So creating resources for you to share with your prospective clients that aren't necessarily JumpCloud branded, but are talking about what's the value of moving to the cloud, and why do you need a directory? So things that hopefully should align to your business from a messaging to your client's perspective. And then with some of our partners that have been with us for longer, we've been doing some kind of proactive marketing efforts with them. So if you're doing things like email messaging or kind of advertising campaigns or webinars to your client or customer base, we've been engaging with our partners for those sorts of things as well. So depending on where you're at with your business, I know some partners are already kind of at capacity and are choosy about the number of customers that they're bringing on board. But if you're in growth mode, or if you're looking to bring on a select number of new customers and you could use some support from us, let us know. We've got resources at your disposal. And again, there's additional support from just kind of customer communications as well. So existing customers, if you want to do some marketing to your current base and kind of expand how they're engaging with you, things like roping in JumpCloud to their offering, or if you're transitioning to an MSP stack, let us know. We can help you with that. And part of this comes with the team. So like I mentioned, Dan Fay joined in Q4, beginning of Q4, and has been ramping up. He's got a very stout technical background, spent a lot of time at VMware, was a tier 3 tech, so brings a lot of knowledge to the space and kind of building out our program, and we're looking to continue to scale that team. And now, as you'll see here on the next slide, we've got some territory-focused partner account managers. So everyone, in addition to being able to engage with me, which you I think all have in the past, we've got a team of partner account managers that are territory-oriented. So you should have a heightened level of support and engagement from us to help you as you kind of build out your business and practice with JumpCloud. So to that end, hopefully, at least some of you have already been engaged with Cruz, Nadi, or Mike. But this is kind of how the team breaks down. Here's their contact information. So if you haven't engaged with these guys, they're going to be reaching out. They've been kind of doing that as they get ramped up, and we're kind of transitioning and shuffling the territories here. But if you've got something on your mind and you want to reach out to one of these folks, this is how the territories align. So feel free to grab their contact information and pester them while we're on the call today. But if not, again, you'll be hearing from each of these guys depending on which territory you land into. All right, and then the last piece before I hand it over to Dan and we dig into the technology and some of the demo, wanted to highlight kind of two of our partners that have had a couple successes with us over the past year. Again, this is something where we've done some partner spotlights with them and a couple case studies and the example of Altitude integrations. And this is something that's definitely available to you as a partner once you've got a couple customers under your belt. And again, we've done this both to highlight these customers or these partners' business themselves, but we're doing some work with them as well to highlight some of their customers and create case studies that they can then turn around and use for the rest of their business. So let us know if this is something of interest to you. We're working down the path of having a more dedicated are you looking for a JumpCloud partner? Here's a bunch of partners by region. So you'll notice we don't have that yet on our kind of partners page or partners section of the website, but that's something that we're looking into as a potential option kind of later this year. So all that to say, again, if you've got interest in this area, let us know. Employee Zero, they're one of our partners in the UK. They've been kind of shifting their business model, as a lot of people have, away from kind of break fix and more towards a full stack MSP with a couple different tiered offerings. And they're really helping a lot of their customers move away from traditional directory systems and shift to the cloud. They've got a pretty significant mix of operating systems in their customer base. And so JumpCloud's obviously fit right in. They've been a partner with us, I think, since the beginning part of 2017. So they've been with us for quite a while. And then Altitude Integrations is actually previously I Support You. They're a local company here in Boulder. They work with a lot of the kind of tech startups, fast-moving companies, but they also have some education. They have nonprofits. They have retail. So they're, again, I think probably pretty familiar to a lot of you, where they're regionally focused and kind of go with the flow of what industries are there. But they've shifted their business as well over the past year after a change in ownership, and have really started to build in a full stack kind of MSP offering with JumpCloud as a foundational piece of that. I believe they're also a Google partner, and so they're really focusing on how can they support their customers' business with the cloud. So they're really looking to elevate the conversation with their customers to say, hey, what are your business challenges? Not necessarily what are your technology challenges. Obviously, that's their sweet spot. But what are the challenges with your business, and how can we leverage the right technology and shifts to the cloud to make you successful and make us a long-term partner with you? So those are just two of the many examples that we've had pop up over the past year and change. But as you can see here, we're now over 400 MSP partners. So it's been a pretty tremendous ride in terms of how many partners have been growing with us. And we see more and more come in every day. So we're excited to have all of you working with us and look forward to partnering more and more going forward. All right, I think that's the last bit of my bit, so I'm going to shut up and hand it over to Dan Fay, and we'll get into some of the meat of the technology.
Cool, awesome, thanks, Ben. So a lot of you are probably familiar with the Multi-Tenant Portal. It came out roughly in Q4 of last year as well. So if you haven't seen the Multi-Tenant Portal, or you're a new onboarding or new partner thinking about signing up with JumpCloud, the Multi-Tenant Portal view is the portal specifically for partners, where it will allow you to not only manage your own organization or test org or test lab that you might be testing or evaluating JumpCloud with. You'll also be able to manage any of your other clients that you're working with that are running JumpCloud. So that way it'll give you one single pane of glass with all the organizations under it. And you can, launch them into new tabs for the same window, and then pull in certain information and resources from those organization lists, such as the amount of systems or applications that are running, password policies that are put in place, as well as those org IDs. This way you don't have to log in, log out, log in, log out of any of your client orgs. So if you have, say 5 or more, that can kind of get, tedious. So this way it's one single pane of glass. You log in once and you'll be able to manage any of those orgs appropriately and accordingly to what you need to. So let's go ahead and take a look at the new MTP update. So the Multi-Tenant Portal update that was just recently released is actually creating a new org. So you can create an account for a client that you're thinking about onboarding or going to be onboarding in the next few weeks. So you'll notice if you log in now, if you notice there's a big plus button in the top left of the panel. If you click that plus button, you'll get a modal pop-up that pops up in the middle of your screen asking you to create a new managed organization. And all you would need to type in here is just the organization name. So with this, it's completely self-serve. In order to create new accounts in the Multi-Tenant Portal, there's no need to contact us. There's no need to reach out and say, hey, can you add this org to our Multi-Tenant Portal? As previously and before, this new update completely automates this entire process, and the fashion is you just click add the name, and hit save, and off you go, and then you've created that new client's organization. So let's do a bit of a demo. So I'm going to close the presentation here, and we're going to take a look at my test org, and we'll kind of see what that looks like. And also I'll just kind of go over the general pieces of the Multi-Tenant Portal as well for any of those that have not seen it yet. So let me go over here. Cool. So I've already logged in as an administrator to JumpCloud, the console.jumpcloud.com as an admin. I've logged in. This is the Multi-Tenant Portal view that I have in the lab. So I have a list here of several different organizations that we have. And if we want to take a look at any of the orgs, we just pull the drop down, we take a look at the total users, the systems, the applications that are running. So right now we got 209 in this org. And then organization ID associated with this org. This is that unique identifier for all organizations within JumpCloud. And then the password policy requirements that I've put upon this org. So we can see that expirations at 60 days, max logon attempts at 6, min characters are 8, and then the varchars that are required for those password policy, those passwords. And likewise, if we take a look at the, we can compare the orgs themselves. You can take a look at what the current total usage is. And then likewise, you can go through all of these and pull it down in one singular list. Now, if we wanted to launch into any of these organizations, we simply just want to click launch, or you could do the drop down, and this will open it up within the same tab. And then likewise, if you just hit launch, it'll actually launch us into a new tab, automatically logging us into the admin panel of this org that's within the Multi-Tenant Portal list. And if we want to go back, we can just go back here, or we can go to the drop down and hit Multi-Tenant Dashboard, and here we are. We're back at the Multi-Tenant Portal. So the new update is to add this organization. So before creating an organization, you would create it outside, contact us, and it created, there's a little bit of a workflow there. But what we've done with this new update is that we've completely automated it for you, so that way you can create as many new clients as you wish, and as simply and as effectively and quickly as you wish. So with adding this update, you just want to hit the plus button in the top left next to the organization's name, the label here. Just hit that. A new modal will pop up, and it'll just ask for the organization details. You just want to type in an organization name, so we can call this like, I don't know, let's call it like Sam's Pizza or something like that. And we hit save. Organization's been saved, we're good to go, and we can see Sam's Pizza has been created. The logo is undefined, so all we need to do is launch into the org. Now you can see that this is a fully active organization ready to go. You're welcomed by the Welcome to JumpCloud banner. You get a little bit of information to learn more, add your first users, and then this client is pretty much set up, ready to go, and you can start onboarding this client. Again, if you need to take a look at any of the password policy requirements, you can take a look at the org ID, set your password complexity here of what you wish, and then say that you're done and wish to go back to the multi-tenant portal view to take a look at another org. You can just simply go up here to the top and go back to your multi-tenant portal dashboard, and you're good to go. So let me go back to the presentation. Oops. And now we'll take any questions that you may have around the multi-tenant update or the partner program or anything in general surrounding the partner program, the multi-tenant portal. So let me go ahead and open up the questions here.
And it looks like we've got a couple in here already. So just a reminder, as you have questions, go ahead and type them into the GoToWebinar section, and we'll crank through them as we have them come up.
Cool.
So question here about being able to manage your global administrators. So that's something that they're currently working on from an API perspective, but we don't have on the roadmap from the UI. That's something that we definitely want to hear more from you guys around kind of the need for this. Obviously, it's pretty straightforward of like, what are our admins? Let's add an admin. Let's maybe remove an admin. Let's add like multi-factor. So please submit in feature requests to us as you want this. It's something that it's been, the underlying bit of it has been created from an API perspective, and it's just a matter of prioritization within our product team. So I'm not kind of blowing smoke when I'm saying please submit your product feature request, because that will help us kind of go make the case to engineering of how big a deal this is for our partners, which, as Dan and I know, it's not an insignificant deal. It's something you guys need to have. So please let your voices be heard, and we're going to pass that on to our product and engineering team. The hope would be that it's a relatively small scope of work. So if we can, says the non-technical guy, but if you can get us your feature requests and your voice is heard, we're definitely going to pass that on, and hopefully it's something that could be done sooner than later.
Cool. So what is our sweet spot for number of users in an org? And that's really honestly dependent on how large the org is. We don't necessarily have, I guess, a limit per se for the users within the organization. That's entirely up to you. We see businesses, from some that are sub 10 that might be 3 users all the way up into the thousands.
Yeah.
So it really depends on what your use case is and what your client user base is like. So we fit pretty much anywhere in the niche with that. But we see, I would say primarily with the partner program that we have now, like the rough average is, it could be anywhere, honestly. It's a range.
I would say most of our partners are working with clients that are kind of on average of, 20 to 30 users, with a range being, kind of the mom and pop shops that are less than 5, all the way up to you probably have a couple outliers that are maybe 100 or 200 users. But the average is right there around 30 users probably. One thing that's definitely worth reiterating and noting here is that, all of your customer accounts, not just one, all of your customer accounts are going to get 10 users free forever. So if you have customers that are less than 10, this is a free product to them, and we've just made it a lot easier for you to get them in the system and start managing them. So we would definitely encourage you to go in and add all of your small clients to this, and get comfortable with the JumpCloud system if you've only got a little bit of testing under your belt. But long answer short, to answer your specific question, I would say through our MSP partners, our sweet spot is really in that kind of 30 to 50 user range. As Dan mentioned, we have customers on the direct side that are in the tens of thousands of users. So we support kind of mid to small enterprise and below, but with partners, it's really kind of 30 to 50 up into the hundreds.
Yep. All right, let's see. That's a good question.
Yeah. So the question is, in an unfortunate situation where you might have to separate from a client, what's the process to spin them off onto their own portal or onto another MSP? So that's something that we don't have technically built into the product, obviously, but it happens, as you mentioned, unfortunately, from time to time. And we've supported that in a whole bunch of different cases. So really all you need to do is reach out to your partner account manager and Dan, and just say, hey, here's what's going on. We'll have to go through some verification, especially if they're getting transferred to a new or a different MSP partner. So we'll just need to kind of get all parties on the line in an email to kind of have that security and data trail, but we'll be able to do some stuff in the back end to kind of change the polarity of ownership. One thing that is not necessarily best practice, but you might consider is when you create a new account, you'll likely want to go into that account and make a unique administrator within each child account that's got a service account from that client's domain. So, IT at or support at, while your customer account or while your kind of super admin account is obviously going to be able to access all of your client accounts. As you saw with Dan, the creation process has been streamlined, but what that does is you could potentially have an account that doesn't have any native administrators. Right. So in that scenario where you were going to have to migrate somebody out, we would have to ensure that there's an administrator in that account before we paired it away from your provider or your multi-tenant. So anyways, just a thought there as you guys are creating accounts, probably worth throwing a service admin in there, as that would be required in this scenario.
Correct. Yep.
So it looks like there's a partial question there since you set up the multi-tenant. I don't know if somebody wants to circle back and answer and fill out the rest of their question. Another question here, how do I give my techs access to customers but not our organization? Yeah, so good question. At the moment, it's all or nothing. So any tech that has access to the multi-tenant portal is going to have access to all organizations. So one of the initial questions around admin management and organization, definitely add that in as part of the details within the feature request. That would fall under something that's being developed more widely, that's called RBAC, so role-based access control. Again, we're looking at that both within kind of just the standard direct organization, and there's obviously some unique requirements within the administrator portal as a partner. So right now it's all or nothing. If you really need to give them that granularity, you could consider just giving them individual access as unique admins, but then that gets them out of the efficiency of the multi-tenant portal. So it's kind of a double-edged sword that you'll have to kind of decide what's right for your business. Yeah, good question here. So do we need to be registering opportunities the same way? So yes, that's definitely helpful. There's the opportunity registration form that you're familiar with. That's basically a sales tool for you to communicate with your partner account manager. If you fill out that form, or if you just email a list of like, hey, here are all the opportunities that I'm working, or just get on a call with your partner account manager. Basically, if they don't have an opportunity registered on file when you create a new account, we get a notification every time a new account is created. And so you'll be hearing from them and they'll say, hey, I don't see this one on file. Do you want to register it? So it kind of depends how you want to manage your workflow, if you want us to pester you every time, or if you've already kind of got a heads up of, hey, here's who I'm thinking about, and you have the time to sit down and kind of register all those or reach out to our partner AM. But long answer short, yes, we need you to register opportunities to make sure that we've got them in our system and tracked to your account.
Yep. Cool. So the next question is who's the best person to connect with to get our test lab set up for our own office? So the beauty of this is that you can actually register yourself for a JumpCloud organization. It's just going to give you the standard. So you'll be taken into the standard organization style via the portal. You won't have multi-tenant portal access as of yet. But you can reach out to myself or just partners at jumpcloud.com. So if you reach out to me, I can help you basically go over the bits and pieces of JumpCloud. We can do like an intro demo or a tech demo to kind of go over who we are, how the multi-tenant portal looks, how we fit within the partner space, and how we can help your cloud offerings, and also help out not only your business but your clients. But yeah, if you need to set up a test lab and test this out or go through the evaluation phase, you can create a free account with us. It gives you automatically 10 free users for your test lab, and then go to the website, sign up, and then play around with it. And then if you have any technical questions or you do want to be onboarded with our partner program, just reach out to either Ben, myself, or partners@jumpcloud.com, and we'd be happy to reach out to you to help get you onboarded and get you set up.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, getting set up as part of the partner program and completing a reseller agreement would be a prerequisite to getting access to the multi-tenant portal. So if you want to get in and test that out, you'll need to become an official member of the partner program if you haven't already. But it seems like this question is just more around, hey, we want to do some additional testing internally. So like Dan said, he's probably the best person to help you with that.
Yep, no worries.
Looks like there's kind of a support or troubleshooting question here around getting your main admin account working through some MFA. So let's reach out to, please just reach out to partner support. So all one word, partner, singular, support @jumpcloud.com. And then Dan and our support team will jump in and help you with getting your admin account and MFA set up. So question here around getting 2 test customer accounts set up within the MSP portal. So I'm assuming these are ones that have been set up separately before you had access to the multi-tenant portal. So if you do already have access to the multi-tenant portal, that's another one for you to reach out to just partner support and say, hey, these are the 2 org IDs, so that'll be what we need is, you go through it.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, there's 2 people that handle this on a daily cadence, is myself and one of our support reps here, Jody. So basically the things that we're going to need in order to set you up with multi-tenant portal access is just a list of your primary organization ID, any of the organization IDs of your client orgs that you set up outside of the multi-tenant portal if you haven't had access yet, a list of registered admins that you want to have access to the multi-tenant portal, so admins in your team, and then basically a primary contact name and contact. So once we have that information, what we do is we send it back and we'll create you and enable the multi-tenant portal view for you and all of the admins that you allow to have access to the list of organizations via that organization ID list that you give us. Once you give us that information, we'll enable it enable it for your account, and that way when you log in, everybody will be enabled for the multi-tenant portal view that you choose to have access to it. And then from there, any future orgs that you add by that plus button that we showed in the demo, you're good to go, and that org will be available and ready to go for any of those other admins that you've previously added. So that way, if you add a new org, there's no need to contact us to say, hey, admin, Bob needs access to the new org we've created. It's automatic in the back end once the multi-tenant portal has been set up. So feel free to reach out to myself or partner support @jumpcloud.com, and we're happy to set you up with the multi-tenant portal.
So looks like there's another kind of follow-up question from one of the same folks around getting set up that was having access or issues with the MFA. So let us know, just include that in kind of the partner support outreach that you have, and we'll help get you finalized and set up. Yeah, so another follow-up question here that's kind of in the same vein of a previous one. So if a client exists in your services, can we hand off their JumpCloud account that is on our MSP portal? So yes, you can detach an existing customer account from your services and hand it off back to the client or to another MSP. That's just something, like I mentioned before, we'll have to go through kind of an exchange process to get them technically detached and from a billing perspective ensure that we've made the appropriate handoffs, but that certainly can happen. All right, can I use my identity as a reseller to sign into a computer system?
That's a good question.
On a customer's account, or do I need to add myself to each customer's account?
That's
a really good question.
That's a really good question. So Basically, the general question is if he has an admin account for the multi-tenant portal view, and he has your own organization, like your own partner in-house test lab or own organization that you use in-house, do you need to provision an account in every single org in the users list in order to access or have an account available on those end systems? The answer is yes. So the idea is that when leveraging this, there's a couple of different ways of doing this, but the basis is that yes, you need to create there's two styles of accounts. There is an admin account, which gives you the access and the permissions to administer the organization in that administrative role, to add users, add systems, etc. And then there's the system user role, which is basically within that user list, you add users or add employees to gain access to their systems, LDAP, Radius, all that good stuff. So in order for you to provision a system administrator on these end systems, or what's under the permissions tab in the user config where it says enable as sudo or admin privileges, if you create a local system admin that you wish, you could have to do that for every single org, and you can do that either by specifically on either yourself or your team members. Granted, that does add a user into that user list, and then or you could set up a singular generic admin like super.admin or just admin. But you would have to create user admins, or basically in the user list, you have to create system admins in each of the organizations to bind them to the end systems, whether it be Mac, Linux, or Windows.
Yep. Yeah, and can certainly kind of understand the thought process of it'd be great to have one super user that you could have distributed to every single one of your client end systems. But that's just not functionality we've kind of developed up to this point. And there's obviously some security implications with that as well as technical implications. So as Dan mentioned, you'll need an admin on each account that is a user system admin to access the endpoints.
Yep.
So it looks like there's just some more questions there around getting access to MFA and the portal. So again, include those in the outreach to support.
Okay, is there an OpenSUSE or SLES agent for the roadmap? Not entirely too sure yet. I don't believe that we're, at least right now that I'm aware of, I don't think we have that on the roadmap. But if there is a use case that you'd like to use, like SUSE or like SLES or anything like that, put in a product feature request and get it to our product team, and then just kind of give a description of the use case. That way, it'll update our product team to say that there's a possible need to develop an agent for that specific version of Linux. So yeah, that's a good question. But just reach out to our product team via the feature requests and submit it to that team. That way, they can be updated on that. Okay, so another question is does one need to register an opportunity before starting a demo organization with initial test users?
No, so you can, as you saw in the portal, once you have access to the portal, you can go and create a new account. And that it's just helpful to communicate with your partner account manager to say, hey, I'm creating an account. This is a test demo account for internal purposes. Here's kind of what I'm working on. And let us know what you're kind of trying to crank through. And we'd be happy to jump on and identify best practices there and kind of help you with that process. But you don't have to register an opportunity before you're able to technically create an account.
Yep. So that's another good question. Is can one safely delete old organization and users and start over without a conflict? So that's a good question. If you need to delete org, or say that you have an organization that you're offboarding from JumpCloud and you need to delete the record or just get rid of it, please reach out to us at partnersupport@jumpcloud.com. There is a process, but it's a bit involved and we have to have multiple steps of verification just due to security reasons. But yeah, if you have any questions around deleting an org, please reach out to partnersupport@jumpcloud.com and we'll kind of walk you through and talk you through the process and give you the requirement sheet and all the accounting stuff that we need in order to verify securely that you need to delete the org.
So good question here around how are future app integrations being prioritized. So I'm assuming this is referring to kind of the single sign-on applications that we have for through SAML. So those are being prioritized, again, based on customer and partner feature requests. We do have a whole team that's dedicated to building out those additional integrations. So you should see new integrations coming out at a relatively regular cadence. So if there's a specific couple that you've got in mind, definitely let us know. Obviously, because we're leveraging the SAML 2 protocol, applications that are not compatible with that are not going to be something that we have on our roadmap in the near future. So just let us know what you've got in mind there. Reach out to partner support or there's a feature request section within our knowledge base, support.jumpcloud.com. And our team definitely uses those metrics and requests to prioritize what comes out.
Cool. So what's the process for adding new admins to the multi-tenant portal? Another email to partner. Correct. So if you need to add a new admin to a pre-existing multi-tenant portal, all we would need to do is you would need to register that admin to your, I would say probably your parent org or the test org that you started with. So your specific organization that you use in-house for testing or actually production in-house, add the admin in there. Once the admin has been created and that admin has verified their account by logging in for the first time and getting access to your in-house org, reach out to partner support, or you can reach out directly to me, Daniel.Fay, F-A-Y, at JumpCloud.com. If you reach out to me or partner support, we'll be able to add that admin into your provider model.
And again, we definitely understand where you're kind of coming from with this this should be something that's in the functionality. So please reach out to us, either again partner support and say, hey, this is a feature request, or go to the feature request form on support.jumpcloud.com. Again, the underlying API work is either done or being done. It's just a function of getting the UI stuff prioritized, and your voices are definitely what we need to get that done.
Cool. Let's see.
So a question around local client admin accounts being provisioned across multiple clients via the API.
Yeah, so not necessarily. We do have that PowerShell module. So if you haven't looked it up or haven't used it or unfamiliar with our PowerShell module, PowerShell module interfaces with JumpCloud using your API key for your admin. So if you have access to once you have access to your multi-tenant portal view or any of the organizations you're managing, you're given an API key. You'll want to leverage that API key as well as have those organization IDs ready and handy. You can provision users via CSV, but it'll be to individual orgs. It's not like a expander to post to all orgs. It's to each individual org, but you can leverage the PowerShell module to create these new users and bind them to associated systems or system groups, either leveraging CSV or through our JumpCloud PowerShell module commands. You can do that. So as for one click and go to provision a user across all orgs, currently not available, but you can do it to specific orgs using the PowerShell module, which probably will make it a little bit easier and faster than using the UI, depending on how many orgs you have.
And basically the user records, specifically looking at a unique email, have to be unique, right? So you couldn't say superadmin@domain.com with password XYZ, provision that out across all org IDs. One thing you could potentially do is create some sort of alias convention, right, where it's like superadmin plus client name at your same domain, and then have all of them have the same password. You could potentially do that, where the only thing you have to remember is the alias piece of it. So there certainly are some things that you could do to kind of automate that process of management and logging in across your different client accounts. So all that said, if as you guys are trying to kind of dig through and figure out what's the best way to have a login or a standardized super admin login across all client accounts that your team knows how to access, reach out to Dan and team, and we'd be happy to get on a call and kind of think through what's the best way for you to get this set up. But yeah, that's kind of the functionality today.
Yep.
Great question here. So billing, does any new org auto bill back to the MSP? Yes. And as soon as you add an organization, you should be able to add more than the 10 free users. So that cap should be lifted. To have access to the multi-tenant portal, you're already going to be set up as a partner, which means that we already have you on file for billing. The default is going to be monthly billing. So if you were to add 20 users to an account, not engage with our partner team, and let them know, hey, this is actually a nonprofit that wants to pay annually. If you didn't do any of those things, our team is going to just have them on file as a standard monthly rate that will include your partner discount. So that goes back to the partner registration, opportunity registration, and communicating with your partner AM and just letting us know, hey, I've added this account. Here's how we intend to move forward from a go-to-market perspective. But long answer short, yes, billing is going to be tied back to your MSP anytime you add a new org. Yep. Yeah. So we'll definitely share the contact details, both in this recording and then as a follow-up. So there's new account managers based on each territory. We can flash back to that slide actually real quick right now, just so you have reference to it while we're talking through stuff. But these are the 3 partner AMs based on territories. Again, Dan's the tech lead. We'll have our contact information shared at the end. And I haven't gone anywhere either. So ben.orn@jumpcloud.com, so you can always reach out to us. All right, detailed question here on pricing real quick. So pricing on users and systems. So okay. There's a scenario here around kind of shared profiles.
No, it's basically saying that if you have multiple, let's say you have a batch of users and a batch of systems, are we charging per system or per profile to system ratio, or are we charging for systems, or are we charging for profiles? That's a good question.
So there's a question here just about there's some language in our pricing that basically states that there's a 4-to-1 ratio of systems to users. And so the question here was, does that get charged on if I put 50 users and they all 50 of them have a profile on 100 systems, am I getting charged the 5,000 or 50,000 or whatever that comes out to be? Or am I just getting charged based on the 1,000 systems and 50 users? And the answer is the latter. So we're actually just looking at the total number of systems divided by the total number of users. And as long as that is at or below 4, there's going to be no system charge. It's just going to be charged for users. Where that comes from is we have some DevOps use cases that are kind of part of how JumpCloud got started. So we would have users that were, a team of 5, right? And then they were managing thousands of servers, cloud servers in their distro, and put a lot of strain on our infrastructure, but they were free accounts. So we kind of put that exception in there. So I would imagine, and through most of our partners, we don't see you running into this ratio. Go crazy and add as many users to as many systems as you want, as long as that ratio stays below 4-to-1. Hopefully that answers the question accurately. Is there a non-native PowerShell?
Correct. So there's a question that came in about PowerShell for Mac, as well as PowerShell, or using a non-PowerShell methodology for API use. So if you want to leverage an outside version or variation to integrate using the API, you can totally do that. You don't have to use our PowerShell module. The beauty of JumpCloud is that we have, kind of an open API for you guys to query and reach out to us, whether that be, very simple curl commands, or if you wanted to use different API interfaces like Postman, which is another application where you can script up and write your own API calls to get information and to pull it down and basically interface with our API or events API. You can certainly use applications such as that, either just using command line interface or using other applications such as Postman. You're not forced to use the PowerShell module if you don't wish to. So there's another question about nonprofit pricing. So nonprofit pricing is?
Yeah, so nonprofit pricing, I believe now we offer pricing for monthly and annually for nonprofit. I believe monthly starts at $5.33, and then annually is like $4.67 or something like that. Hold on, let me pull up our pricing guide just to make sure I'm.
Yeah, we've just recently changed that to.
Yeah, the monthly pricing for nonprofit is new, so I just want to make sure I'm telling you all the right thing. Bear with me for 2 seconds. But as I'm pulling this up, do know that that's something you'll have to get an agreement in place for, even if it's monthly. So we'll just have to have that outlined in writing that, hey, these guys are nonprofit. We don't do any really stringent verification, but we do look at the domain, we do look at the website, and just make sure that it is truly, a nonprofit, but we're not going and kind of auditing them. Okay, I was right there. So nonprofit pricing is $5.33 on a monthly basis, and then annual pricing is $4. There is, however, a minimum for an annual agreement, and the minimum charge is it needs to be at least $1,000 for the total year. So that comes out to whatever divided by 12 divided by 4. That comes out to, for a nonprofit to go annually, you'd have to pay for 31 users annually. To get to that 21 paid, that would total over the 1,000 annual. So anyways, if you've got more questions about that, definitely reach out to your partner AM, and they can help you get set up with nonprofit pricing. And we do also have education pricing. So just while we're on the topic, education monthly pricing is $2.67 for a month to month, and then annual is $2. And across the board, all of those are still going to have your partner discount applied. So you're still all going to get your discounted rate off of those. So again, as you have those questions come up, reach out to the partner AM and we can get you set up there. Yeah, it looks like there's just a couple other questions around pricing. So again, just reach out to the partner AM there and we'll help you out. And then again, so what is the standard pricing term? So outside of education or nonprofit. So that is available online, jumpcloud.com/pricing. But our monthly rate is $12 per user per month, and that's list. So your partner discount is going to come off of that. And then the annual is $9 per user per month. And again, there is that $1,000 minimum list. And then your partner discount is going to come off of that as well. And again, annual is annual paid upfront in full. All right.
I think that's
looks like we've hit the bottom of the questions queue here. Really great questions. Hopefully this has all been helpful. If there's any other last questions here, let us know. But this is the two of us that have been jabbering on for this 50 minutes plus. So in addition to the partner AMs that we just had on the screen, you can certainly reach out to Dan or myself. And then there's also the partner support at jumpcloud.com that we've referenced a couple of times. And again, definitely hit us with feature requests. It sounds like the admin functionality is definitely something that people are interested in. So reach out to us with any feature requests that you've got there. If you have customers that you're looking to get onboarded or internal testing and sandbox stuff you want to do, reach out to your partner AM and we'll get Dan and team roped up and help you guys out. But let's see, any last questions here before we call it? No? All right. Cool. Well, thank you all again for taking the time. Look for a link to the recording here later today or tomorrow, I think, as we get that processed. And thank you all for being partners. We really appreciate your time and look forward to doing a lot more work with you this year and into the future.
Yep.
Thanks
awesome.
a bunch.
Thanks again.